All right, back in the garage. Had kind of a lazy morning, but after yesterday putting this engine in and out several times, kind of wanted a slow start to the day. Today, my goal is to get this mounted in there permanently. So I got the motor mounts welded up yesterday. I got the plates welded to the frame. So now I'm gonna put the motor mounts on, drop this thing in, get it sitting in place, tack up the motor mounts, then make a transmission mount, get that all welded in, and then I can pull the motor out one more time, finish weld the motor mounts to the frame, weld some gussets in, get it all painted up, and then this will go back in permanently and I won't have to take it out again. And I can start working on everything else around it. So let's get started. All right, so next step, I'm gonna take and change the input into my transfer case. I need to have this matching the transmission. So I had 27 spline, I believe, for the GM 4L80. So I gotta tear this apart to get this out, put the new one in, and then I can inspect everything inside, see how it is. So I'm gonna throw on some music and get going. Well, I got the transfer case all tore apart. Unfortunately, broke several of the bolts off. They're stuck in the case. So I got to weld some nuts on here and they should pop right out. Pretty simple fix. Getting this snap ring off was an absolute nightmare. But I ended up finally getting it out. So new inputs in. I just got to get these out. Then I'll have to run and get some new seals for the output shafts. And some more bolts, and then I can put this back together. Well, unfortunately, I broke a few bolts off and welding a nut to them isn't working. Just making it break off deeper and deeper and destroying the aluminum case. So I got a friend checking to see if he can use the Bridgeport at his work in order to drill these out. Until then, I'm probably just going to take and slap the case halves back together with nothing inside so I can use it for mock-up and at least get the engine and transmission put in today, which that was my goal anyways. So we'll get going on that. All right, I just put the engine in. Hopefully I only need to take it out and put it back in one more time to paint everything. But next, I'm gonna take and put the bushings in. This is still a little tacky, but I'm getting impatient, don't wanna wait. So get these put together and I'll clamp them in the vise, tighten it down. I need 2 hands for this, so I'm gonna set the camera down, get this ready, and then clamp it up. Well, I accomplished my goal. I got the engine sitting in there under its own weight. I still have to finish weld the engine mounts, but I'll pull the engine out one more time, finish weld around the top. I got the transmission cross member welded in. I'm gonna take that out, finish weld it on the bench so I can get nice clean welds, and then put it all back together. Then I can paint everything, get the engine installed one last, get the engine installed permanently and start working on everything else around it. So I'll still have to take this out one more time in order to finish weld and paint, but then stuff it back in and I'll be off to the races. So it's a lot of work to get to this point, but I'm glad I went with the TMR mounts instead of some off-the-shelf mounts that were supposed to work with the factory engine brackets, the frame side motor mounts. So I'm glad I just custom did everything with the TMR mounts. It gave me a ton of clearance, a lot cleaner setup. Honestly, it wasn't too hard to do, just took a little time to line the engine up exactly where I wanted it, but that's not a big deal. It's in, ready to go. I'm calling it a day. It's been a lot of work and it's really humid today. So I'm just sweating up a storm. So I'm ready to call it a day. I'll get back at this either tomorrow or Tuesday and finish up the welding, finish up installing the motor mounts or welding it to the frame. All right, it's a new day, back out in the garage, working on the Jeep. Yesterday I came out just to get a little bit of progress done and buttoned up all my power steering lines and hydro boost lines. Just try and keep forward momentum, doing a little bit every day to keep motivated to get it done. That's probably the best advice I can give anybody for working on this type of stuff. It's a lot of work, but if you keep chipping away at it, it eventually will get done. I know a lot of projects get sold off and parted out because people just don't see it through to finish. Keep chipping away at it, and it's the only way you're going to end up getting it done. So now, today I'm going to take and put the front of my skid plate on and figure out the front mounts, get them tacked in place. And once I do that, I'm going to pull the engine out one last time, fully weld up everything, paint the frame, and have it ready to go so I can drop the engine in one more time. All right, I got the skid plate put up underneath the engine. And it turns out I did not even need to buy the shorter oil pan. Looks like I got plenty of clearance for the factory oil pan would have worked just fine. I already changed it, cut the windage tray for this one, so I'm not going back, but something to note for in the future. If I ever do this again, I can leave the factory GM oil pan. Now my mounts, I'll probably have to just remake these brackets. I don't know exactly how I'm going to tie in there yet. I might just put some gussets from the tube over to the frame and drill some holes in those gussets for the mount to bolt to, and then I can make my new bracket later on. But for now, this gives me all the information I need in order to move forward. Same on this side, I'll probably just add the gussets. And then I'll do that with the engine out because I got plenty of clearance, and then I can fully weld it up easy. So next step, I'm going to take that skid plate back off. Right now it's just being held up by a floor jack. I'll take that back out, get the engine out, finish welding, add my gussets, and paint everything up and keep moving forward. Just got done welding in my little gussets on the motor mounts, and over here welded up the new transmission mount. So now I gotta let that cool a little bit, get that painted, and then get it back in. Then I can start finishing up the skid plate mounts underneath the frame there. I ended up nicking one of my brake lines with a grinder, so I decided just to redo both front brake lines as long as I have it open. Stainless steel, better than the factory, that's for sure. A little bit cleaner over here. Those were the ones that got really twisted up anyways. The rear isn't terrible, but I'd prefer, if I could, redo everything, but for now I'll end up leaving it. That'll work just fine. So I'm waiting for the cross member paint to dry, so I'm going to call it a day. I'll pick up on it tomorrow, get that installed, and finish up this skid plate, get this stuff painted. And then at that point, I should be able to throw the engine in here permanently and start buttoning up everything else to get this thing to run. But that's for another day. Thanks for watching.